On the morning of Tuesday, November 7th, 2017, Kenyans woke up to a shocking tale that was unraveling along the Super Thika Highway near Kabati. Initial reports from various media houses indicated that the governor of Nyeri, Gakuru Wahome, had been injured in a motor vehicle accident and had been rushed to hospital, but was still alive. Pictures of the accident scene started circulating in social media, and Kenyans were shocked, at how a vehicle would go right through a railing, or rather a railing would spear itself right through a vehicle of the caliber of a Mercedes-Benz. Daimler-Benz, the manufacturers of Mercedes, are one of the oldest motor vehicle manufacturers in the world, and they take pride, in their work, obviously, in the engineering, yes. And it's well known that Mercedes is one of the safest cars in the world. It has numerous safety features, and one would have expected that at least some of them would have kicked in so that such a gory freak accident would never have happened, Indeed, the first question that came to experts' minds was, what are the chances that such an accident would have happened? Maybe 1 in 10 million? Very slim. Indeed, on the surface of things, this was a freak accident straight out of hell. Indeed, it was very, very clear from the onset that this was no ordinary accident. So, was it a freak accident, or was it murder? Now, the quickest and easiest way of solving any murder is to ask yourself a very simple question. Who benefits? Who benefits? And to answer that question, we must go deep into the politics as well. But first, let's start at the crime scene. Oops, looks like I've already called it a murder. Okay, let's start at the accident scene. And let us start with the chief witness. Oops, again. There was another chief eyewitness, very controversial, a man in dark specs. Nope, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the key witness. The driver of the ill-fated vehicle, the person who was inside the vehicle, the person who saw everything, the person who was involved in everything that happened. Okay? Ordinarily, this is a person who should be able to neatly solve the whole mystery for us so that it would not have been a mystery at all. Right from the word go. Okay? Now, it's very instructive that this thing remains a mystery. That tells us a lot. Okay? But we shall dwell into that later. Let's hear what the driver has to say. His name is Samuel Kinyanjui, and this is what he had to say. We were late, but the governor told me not to speed because it was raining and the road was slippery. I was driving around a speed of between 105 and 110 kilometers per hour. Then one of the rear tires burst. But as I slowed down and was steering the vehicle to the side, I realized that a lorry which was behind me was approaching at a high speed. I had to swerve suddenly to avoid the lorry which was trying to overtake me. I thought if I hit the guardrail, the car would stop. I feared that if the lorry hit me from the rear, it would push us into the middle of the road and cause a multiple cars accident. Now, I've been quoting him verbatim, so if you have any problem with any of the English and syntax, I was quoting him verbatim, okay? Now, he goes on to say that when the car hit the guardrail, on impact, the airbag deployed, okay? That's natural. And of course, the airbag blocked his view, and the airbag did something else, he claims. It rammed his foot on the accelerator pedal. And this, according to him, is what caused the guardrail to penetrate the Mercedes, and injure the governor fatally. Okay? That's his story. Now, this story is full of holes. Yes? For an investigator trying to find out the truth, it is full of holes. For any observant Kenyan who wants to get to the bottom of this matter, this story just doesn't fly. Now, first of all, those who are driving, or those who drive cars, you're imagining you're driving at high speed, okay, not very high, 105, 110, that's fairly high, You're driving at a speed of 110 kilometers an hour, yes, and then you hear a loud bang. Will you know which tire exploded? Nope, you wouldn't. You wouldn't even be able to know whether it's the front or the back. Yeah. Something else. When the tire bursts at a speed of 110 kilometers, what do you expect to happen? What normally happens next? Okay, I'll tell you. The car slows down considerably. Yeah, the impact will always slow down the car. That's a given. So my guess is that the car would now be down to 50 kilometers. Let's give benefit of the doubt. Tops about 60 kilometers an hour. Okay. Now the driver says at this juncture, he noticed that there was a lorry behind him. Yeah, all these things are happening split second. Remember that. He notices that there's a lorry behind him and it's coming at high speed. Okay. Remember something else. This is a dual carriageway. Okay. So even if somebody is coming from behind you at high speed, all they have to do is steer slightly to the right, and they've overtaken you and there's no danger. Okay. But let's just give him the benefit of the doubt. He notices there's a lorry behind him, so he decides to ram into the rail guard. Now on impact, of course, the airbag deploys. Yeah. Now the airbag deploys very rapidly, milliseconds. Yeah. You have a big balloon, protected balloon in front of you. Okay. Now as all this is unfolding, ordinarily and indeed instinctively, where would your feet be? On the brakes or the accelerator? Naturally, the brakes. But Kinyanjui tells us that when the airbag deployed, his legs were on the accelerator. They jammed his legs onto the accelerator, and the car now rapidly accelerated against the railguard. Yeah, and this is what injured the governor fatally. Yeah, what? Now, this is very unlikely, very, very unlikely. Okay, but even if it was so, there's something else which happens when the airbag deploys. The impact of the airbag pushes you where? Backwards, away from the brakes, away from the accelerator. Yeah, the designers of these things, of course, had thought of all these things. They did multiple tests. Yeah, and the airbag has been improved dramatically over the years, so that it's one of the safest things on a vehicle. It saves millions of lives all over the world every year. Yeah, so we know how the airbag normally works, and the way Kinyanjui is describing it here is putting a lot of question marks into it. Yeah, I'm a Daimler-Benz engineer in Stuttgart would be able to blow 1 million holes into this account immediately, especially just that area surrounding the airbag. Okay, but let's just leave it for a moment. But even before we leave it, it's worth noting that in 2002 there was a very serious accident along the Nairobi-Mombasa road, actually at the junction of Machakos, involving former President Mwai Kibaki. Okay, now many experts say that what saved President Kibaki's life, at that time he was not yet president, he was just in the last stretch of the 2002 campaigns against Uhuru Kenyatta. What saved Kibaki's life was at the back, the airbag, yeah, normally at the back, for the person seated in the back seat, yeah, deployed, yeah, and therefore it took a lot of the impact out of that terrible accident. But notice in the case of the Gakuru Wahome story, accident, nobody mentions the airbag at the back. Nobody mentions that airbag at the back. Did it deploy? And if it did, what happened? Yeah, many questions. The most likely scenario of what would have unfolded here, yeah, taking the facts of being given into account, is that as soon as the tire burst or exploded, yes, what would have happened is that the car would have slowed down. Yes, the driver would have steered the vehicle gently to the side of the road, because it's a dual carriageway, and there would have been enough space at least to put the car, most of the car, if not all of it, off the road, yes, to the side, yeah, so that whichever vehicle was coming from behind, even the lorry, would have been able to easily overtake. Yeah, that is the scenario, because taking into account the speed he says he was traveling at, yeah, the tire burst, yes, slowing down of the car, this would have been a very easy maneuver even for a learner, yeah, somebody who's just learning to drive, yeah, steer the vehicle at the side. There would have been no need of hitting the guardrail. Indeed, I've never heard of a case whereby somebody makes a decision to hit the railguard, yeah, when there's been no impact on the car. You make a decision to collide with something, and yet you've already not collided. All you've had is a tire burst, right? So the vehicle is still intact, everybody's still okay in the vehicle, yeah. So you make a decision to hit the railguard. Why? Yeah, you'd have still swerved and not had to hit the railguard. So already there's an extremely big question mark in this account, okay, as I've been able to demonstrate. Now, there have been rumors that somebody actually fired at the tires, yeah, as the vehicle was going, and that actually it was not a tire burst, that actually instead somebody actually took a shot at the tires. Okay, there are two problems with that story. One, taking a shot at a tire at that speed, and one would assume it also been in a moving vehicle. Let's say even if you're a sniper positioned somewhere, yeah, and you're taking a shot at the tire. Oof, not many people can take that shot. Very few people in the world can take that shot successfully, okay? Because in this case there's no evidence of sprayed bullets. Of course, the other way to make sure you hit it is use an automatic weapon and you spray bullets. One of the bullets will touch the tire. You know, you spray bullets in the general area. This did not happen, okay? So it would have had to be a single shot or two, yeah, maybe a sniper, yes. Still, that is very, very unlikely, yeah. Not many people in the world can take that kind of shot, yeah. Even at a closer range, it's very difficult. A moving target like that at that speed, not easy. Now, this brings us to the other question. Why were there so many rumors flying left, right, and center concerning what happened here? Yeah, where was there so much attempt? Because when there are rumors, it's an attempt to mislead and confuse. Yes, and one of the people who famously tried to mislead us was the expert eyewitness, yeah, the guy in dark specs, yeah, who gave us his own account and even introduced a motorcycle carrying meat in the middle of a dual carriageway, yeah, where there are no roads turning into the dual carriageway. Yeah, an attempt to mislead. And you see, when an eyewitness gives a report, it's natural for you to swallow everything hook, line, and sinker. Now, that brings me to yet another point. I've consulted various experts, various people who know their stuff when it comes to this kind of thing, and I've asked them a simple question. How would the guardrail have stood up like a human being? You remember the expert eyewitness, what he told us? That the guardrail actually stood up like a human being. How would the guardrail actually stand up like a human being? Yeah. Now, taking the circumstances of the accident, now they said that is an impossibility. Okay, one of the main reasons why it would have been an impossibility, remember that the guardrail is riveted onto a support. Yeah, there are supports, you know, every few meters there's a beam which the guardrail is nailed to, yeah, riveted to, yeah, every few meters riveted to. So how would it stand up like a human being? Impossible. So again, drama to mislead, yeah, dramatic rumors to mislead. But why? Yeah, why would some people want to mislead us? Why would people want to form, to create confusion and around this terrible accident? Why? There's only one answer which makes sense. That this was not an accident. It was murder. Okay? It was murder. But that leads us to another question. Why? And who wanted to murder Governor Gakuru Wahome? Now, we'll of course tie up all this in the third and in the third section of this particular recording, yes, which is available to Club 1999 members. But for now, let's move to the politics, because the politics may give us pointers as to the identity of some of the people who would have benefited from this crime. The politics will give us pointers to the enemies of the late governor of Nyeri. Yeah, it'll give us everything. So straight into the politics now. Onto the very murky waters that is Nyeri politics, as we seek to unravel the mystery of the death of Governor Wahome Gakuru. And our story here starts in 2013. These were the very first gubernatorial elections, yes, after the 2010 constitution. And it was a very fierce battle between James Nderitu Gachagua, yeah, who went on to pass on while in office, and Gakuru Patrick Wahome, yeah, who is now also deceased after the road accident. Yes, the two were neck to neck in that very memorable Nyeri elections. Now, according to my sources on the ground, those elections were extremely dirty. I mean, we know politics is dirty, but this particular election went to extremes. Yeah, remember that Bwana Gakuru, even then, was the TNA nominee for governor for that particular seat. Yes, so he was expected to carry the tide because there's a TNA wave that swept right through central Kenya as a result of the fact that the two candidates who are standing for president and deputy president were ICU suspects. Yeah, that's President Uhuru Kenyatta and Vice Deputy President William Ruto. And the kind of sympathy and emotion that went into that election gave President Uhuru Kenyatta a resounding wave of support right across Central Province. And this support should have easily carried Gakuru Wahome to victory to become the very first governor of Nyeri, but it was not to be. James Nderitu Gachagua and his handlers played every trick, every dirty and otherwise trick in the book to ensure that they denied Gakuru victory. Now, just to illustrate some of the tactics that were used, very, very strangely, one of the major candidates, Mr. Thuo Mathenge, had the name of his running mate entered completely wrongly. Okay? Now, as I've said before, you normally choose a running mate in politics with a certain advantage in mind that you want to give to your ticket. Yes? So, if you go into the election and the name of that governor is different, obviously it's going to have an impact on your votes. And obviously this would be the objective of those behind this so-called error. Anyway, to cut a long story short, Bwana Thuo Mathenge, of course, petitioned against Bwana Gachagua's win. Yeah, he was not successful. Yes, and the matter ended there. But for our purposes here, and more importantly, this was a very bitter defeat for Bwana Gakuru Wahome. Okay, it was barely, the difference was barely 10,000 votes between him and the winner, Bwana Gachagua. But it was extremely painful because of the many underhand dirty tricks that were used. And there are many in Nyeri who believe that actually Bwana Gakuru Wahome won those elections. Okay, but of course that is neither here nor there without concrete evidence. But at least what I want to portray is the bitter undercurrents, the bitter taste in the mouth that those particular elections left. Now, fast forward to 2017. Now, 2017, Gachagua, of course, passed on pancreatic cancer while in office, barely weeks to the general elections. Okay, and so his deputy, Bwana Wamadhai, took over for the short period, and then Nyeri went straight into a general election. Now, starting as favorite in that general election was not Bwana Gakuru. Yep. It wasn't. It was Mutahi Kagwe. Now, Mutahi Kagwe was the immediate previous senator of Nyeri. Yes, a very popular politician in the area, very polished man, very meticulous man in his campaigns. And word on the ground is that Mr. Kagwe had carried out a very carefully crafted, brilliant campaign for governor, for a very long time. Yes, and his plans had started very early when Bwana Gachagua was still alive. So he had covered his bases very well. But then come to the Jubilee nominations, very many funny things happened. I'll give you a few examples. Now, in Bwana Kagwe's Mukurweni stronghold, Mukurweni constituency, there were polling stations, this I'm talking about the Jubilee nominations, there were polling stations where the ballot papers for governor ran out very early. Now, of course, the strategy here is that you want to beat a strong opponent, so all you do is you make sure there are not enough ballot papers in his strongholds. Yes, and the rules are that once the polling stations close, you count the votes you have. Kama watu walikosa ballot papers, hiyo shauri yao. Still in Mukurweni, Kagwe stronghold, there's a polling station whereby the gubernatorial race could not go forward because a rubber stamp was missing. Now, of course, the rubber stamp in this case was a key tool to validate the ballot papers. and it was just not there. In other Mkurueni polling stations, the ballot papers arrived late. Yeah. So the people in this area, this is a farming community, and very serious commercial activities going in Nyeri. People are busy. They're not going to spend the whole day at a polling station waiting for ballot papers. Yeah. So what happened is that if the ballot papers come in at 10, people have woken up at 5. Maybe you're a businessman. What you want to do is get into the polling station very early for the Jubilee nominations, vote, and then go and back to your business and carry out your daily activities. Yeah, that's the whole idea. And of course, those who organized for the delay of those ballot papers know this information. They have this information. Yeah. Obviously, Bwana Kagwe did not see this coming. Yeah. Imagine your own party, dirty tricks within your own party. And those dirty tricks carried out by one of your opponents seem to have the blessings of the Jubilee Party headquarters. Yeah, it was very painful for Bwana Kagwe. Now, naturally, in the highly polarized elections that we went through on 8th August 2017, it was obvious that whoever won the Jubilee nomination had won the election. It was simple as that. Yeah, it was obvious that voters were not going to look at another candidate who did not have the party nomination. It was simple as that, because a lot of people in central Kenya felt that they were under siege, and they felt that they had to unite and elect a candidate of their choice, of the party's choice. Yeah, they knew that if they spread their votes, this would also risk the presidency. Yeah, because they knew it was going to be a very close race as far as most Kenyans were concerned. So to cut a long story short, Bwana Mutahi Kagwe was locked out, and the winner of those elections was, of course, Patrick Wahome Gakuru, who garnered 282,598 votes against his closest competitor, the person who had taken over governor on the death of the governor, Bwana Samuel Wamadhai Githaiga, who garnered only 87,049 votes. You can easily call this a landslide. But then, as we have seen, the whole manenos was at the nomination stage. That was the stage where all possible opposition was eliminated. Now let's look a little deeper into this. Yeah, what exactly happened here? Okay, what kind of dirty tricks were used? Where did the bad blood come from? Yeah, where did Mutahi Kagwe's enemies come from? Yes, and what bolstered Bwana Wahome Gakuru into winning the gubernatorial race against what would have otherwise been very, very stiff competition? What really happened here behind the scenes? Because when we learn that, it will help us a lot in coming closer to solving the mystery of the very, very mysterious death of Bwana Patrick Wahome Gakuru. Now, historically, politicians don't get into dirty tricks by accident. Okay, what normally happens is that you go into an election, and I can assure you, losing an election is a very, very, very bitter thing that can never happen to anybody. Yeah, remember that you have spent finances, usually double-digit millions. Yeah, and you have done your groundwork very well. There's a lot of hard work. Yeah, that has gone to your campaign, and then you lose, and you don't lose because you've lost fairly. You lose because of some dirty underhand tricks. It is very, very earth-shattering. I mean, it just destroys a person almost, virtually. And so it would make a lot of sense why Bwana Gakuru would go into his campaign, yeah, being fully aware what happened to him last time, and vowing that it would never happen to him again. Yeah, and how do you do that? You make sure that you're ahead of the other dirty tricks that are going to be played against you. Yeah, and this is exactly what happened in the 2017 elections, and this time other people were the victims. Yeah, people like Mutahi Kagwe, and you see, this why this dirty tricks is a vicious cycle. Yeah, it just it sucks in people. Yeah, because now the victim next time will do the same. Yes, atarudisha mkono. Now, something that happened a few weeks before the death of Bwana Gakuru is worth taking a closer look at, yeah, because it gives us an insight into some of the big heavyweights playing this game behind the scenes, yeah. Now, it is said that one of the biggest backers for Gakuru's campaign, financially and politically, was a man called Kinyua Kimuri, or Engineer Kinyua Kimuri Giakabe. Yeah. Now, this was the main political and financial supporter of Bwana Gakuru. But immediately Bwana Gakuru got into the office, and as he was setting up his administration, he suddenly parted ways with engineer Kinyua Kimuri, yeah, in under very mysterious circumstances. Now, this was very, very strange indeed. In fact, what happened is that immediately Gakuru was sworn in, yeah, he replaced his main backer, the person who had removed all the money, financed him, supported him politically, indeed organized his whole successful political campaign, right from the nomination stage. What? Now, whispers on the ground is that Bwana Gakuru's rivals were extremely happy at this news. Yeah, it's like they felt that without that major backer, they had a very big chance of removing Gakuru from office come 2022. Okay. Now, of course, some of the names here of rivals I will mention. They include Madira MP Rigathi Gachagua, yeah, and his Kenya counterpart Kanini Kega. And it includes another very big name in Nyeri, Ephraim Maina, Senator Ephraim Maina. Now, let me jog your memory a bit. Ephraim Maina has been was involved in very many dodgy deals during the Kibaki administration. Yeah, you know, the people get mega contracts to distribute, to supply all kinds of things to the government, with, of course, mega profit margins, etc., etc. This man has always been a wheeler dealer and is a major, major force in Nyeri. But there was something else that happened that was even more bizarre. I mean, hey, really, really bizarre. On the 4th of November, yeah, that was barely 3 days before the death of Bwana Gakuru, there was a very big feast at engineer Kinyua Kimuri's home in Madira. Yeah, and well, the reason for the feast, it was to celebrate the parting of ways between him and the Nyeri governor. Wow. Now, you spend millions on a campaign, yeah, millions of your money on a campaign to back a certain candidate, yeah, and ordinarily what you expect is that once he's in office, you're going to benefit, yeah, contracts are going to come your way, yeah, you're going to recoup all your investment in his campaigns during his tenure in office, yeah, but then suddenly you part ways, and then instead of going to cry in the toilet, yeah, or you know, instead of being you know, very crestfallen, very sad, you call a feast, not only an ordinary feast, a big feast to celebrate your parting of ways. Wow, that's a real mystery. Now, in the next part, which I will do tomorrow, where we'll tie in all this and try to solve this very, very grisly death of Bwana Gakuru, I will start by introducing to you another time in the history of Kenya when there was a similar big feast, yeah, which was followed by the by some very tragic deaths that opened political doors for others. Yeah, some of you may already know, but don't worry. Even if you don't know, you will know tomorrow as I carry out the second part. Yeah, we will solve this whole mystery, tie in everything together. In fact, in this part, what we have done is we have gathered a lot of information. We have done the background. We have put everything in clear perspective. So tomorrow's final part will be shorter, and it will just be answers, theories, yeah, so that we at least shed light onto this, yeah. And then also to look forward to in the next part is there's a man of God who made the correct prediction about what was going to happen on 8th of August. Again, he made the correct prediction about what happened on 26th of August, yeah. Now, this man of God has come out boldly, and he has said that Gakuru Wahome was murdered, yeah, and he has given a lot of details as to who murdered him and why. Okay, so you'd better not miss that. Yeah, sorry, I know I'm keeping in suspense, but let's do this thing properly. Let's create a series that people can look at and they cannot blow holes into. Yeah, so we have to do it very carefully, meticulously, and so on. So please bear with me. It's only 24 hours, and then it will be out. We'll tie this in. Yeah. Thanks very much, Club 1999 members. Thanks very much for your continued support. See you guys tomorrow in the second part of this. This is Chris Kumekuja. Thanks.